Where has the month of March gone? It's been an absolute blur. We're getting very close to the end of it right now. It's been a green month for ADA actually so far. And what I'll say is that quarter one has basically sucked across the crypto market. So potentially Q2 could bring us a lot of excitement. And what I'm seeing across the market is a lot of interesting signs that are actually necessary for this next leg in crypto. And in fact, we may be replicating exactly what we did during last summer for ADA. It's happening just on a shorter time frame, and I want to show you guys exactly what I mean. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell again. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So the crypto market in general, pretty quiet again over the last 24 hours. I'm not sure what prices are going to be as the day goes on. It's about 6:17 a.m. Central Standard Time right now. We're seeing just a kind of a sea of green almost everywhere you look, but it's very modest. And the reason why is, again, very low volume, $56 billion over the last 24 hours. This is one of the lowest volume weeks we have seen in quite some time. But this is actually on par with what we were doing last summer. But let's just talk about ADA for itself for just a moment. Right now, we're still trying to hold this structure. We're right at the bottom of this pennant that we were building here. And you guys can see that actually, if we take a look at our SMA, we're floating right around that 200 SMA. We just keep bouncing off it, bouncing off it. We did breach it yesterday. We're back just basically right on top of it at the time of filming this video. So this could potentially be something that even if we're kind of bouncing above and below it, it may help carry us towards slightly higher prices. Now, this isn't a guarantee or financial advice or anything like that, but something definitely to watch very closely as we move our way through the weekend into next week. And guys, this trend is in fact supposed to end on Monday. So we'll see what decision ADA decides to make from there. In terms of BTC right now, BTC is still just kind of floating in trend, not doing a whole lot, still slowly but surely working its way to the upside, trying to get back into that top wedge, which would be the more bullish spot for BTC to be in. And guys, once we get a breach to the upside on this trend, that is when we're probably going to see a little bit more excitement in the crypto market. Now, nobody knows what's going to happen for sure, but there's a couple important things that have been happening that people need to be aware of on the Ethereum side. And yes, ETH has a little bit bigger impact on alts right now. And one of the problems is that ETH has just been absolute shit for the longest time. And that's not to dog on anybody that holds ETH, but we know that ETH has just continued to drop and drop and drop as of late. Now, ETH is actually broken out. That's a great sign. That's exactly what we want to see. And what is actually very interesting here is Ethereum reserves on exchanges have just hit an all-time low. And for anybody that's not aware of how a supply shock works, when there isn't that much ETH in the market to go around, that can cause price to start to go on a bit of a boom. All right, now we see the same thing with ADA. We're continuing to see ADA supply removed from exchanges. That's a great sign. But, ETH has been bought up in huge ways by whales as of late. They've just been gobbling it up because they've been getting such extreme discounts. And what's interesting here is we may have just seen our double bottom on the ETH BTC chart. And that's a very important inflection point in the market. This could be the bottom where you start to see alts go on runs. Now, again, nobody knows what's going to happen for sure, but many people are starting to identify this. We're kind of at that point right before the market begins to heat up. This is from Tyler Burke. I think this is a great spot showing where ADA price might be right before the boom begins. And why I'm saying this is if we actually take a look at this trend from last summer, what we're seeing is that we may have just a little bit of sideways action right before ADA decides to go on a tear actually to the top of its trend. It would make a lot of sense here, right? Now, just for our context in terms of time, this is saying right about April 20th or so. That looks like about the time where the sideways trade ends. Again, this isn't perfect, but this is following this exact trend from last summer. What I find very interesting about this is MACD is doing about the same thing. We're basically flat. We're flipping and trying to go bullish here. RSI doing the exact same thing. We're about right here in this trend, about the time where we might see a little bit of a pump to the upside if we follow this perfectly, then come back down, kind of sideways trade right before we try to send to our trend. That rhymed. But this is, again, just us trying to replicate what we did last market cycle. Remember that throwback to the trend like we were talking about? That's exactly what ADA is trying to do here. It's trying to get a throwback up to its trend. And this is actually around $1.70. All right. This shows about $1.70 by the time we enter May. All right. Now, Again, this doesn't mean that that's where we're going to be, and that doesn't mean where it's going to stop, that it's going to stop there either, right? We have a weird scenario where we're following the 2016 2017 cycle more similarly, meaning that we could actually have a little bit of run into June, slight correction for maybe like a month and a half or so, and then continue on our tear, meaning that by the time we get to June, we could be somewhere around like that $3 price point. It would make a lot of sense. Obviously, I'm not from the future. I don't know what's going to happen for sure. But I do have to say that right now, again, we look at volume here as well. Again, striking similarities to what we saw during the summer, right? This whole week, we were basically below $100 billion in daily trading volume. Well, what were we doing in the summer when we were sideways? Below $100 billion in daily trading volume. Now, some good signs for ADA is that it is very consistently higher in terms of volume. For example, the last 24 hours, even on a quiet day, $500 million in daily trading volume. Okay. So ADA's more lively than ever. It's got more optics than ever. You know, we're in actually a very good spot. Me personally, I wouldn't complain about this trend if we did just trend sideways for, you know, maybe another 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks or so. I'd love if price goes up right now, but understand that, you know, the market is trying to basically detox itself from all the negativity, all the paper hands, the people that aren't willing to hold on to their bags for longer. You know, it's possible that we could just spike out of here and just start going on a run at any time. But just know that once the sentiment again starts to improve, that is when everything's going to change in the crypto market. We're slowly but surely working our way out of the fearful zone. The longer we're in the sideways range, the better that will get, you know, and just to kind of show you guys too, I don't know if this is going to load. I don't know why it's not loading. Stupid thing. Tech is great when it works. It sucks when it doesn't. But you guys can see that, you know, once we got to the summer, sentiment started to flatten out, right? We hit those deep dives actually the early part of September, but for the most part it was pretty much flat. It looks like right now we're kind of flattening out, doing the same thing just at a little bit lower level, which is why we've had such extreme opportunity here, and it's because it happened so fast. But I'm hoping people are starting to see that things are actually improving. The market is stabilizing right now. It doesn't mean that things can't change in a second. Don't twist my words. Obviously, we know the crypto market causes, there's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of surprises that happen. And, you know, as long as we don't really get any of these major negative surprises, we're in pretty good shape. So I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you see this playing out this way? But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.